Hey y'all, I'm back and I have more creepy stories that I'm so nervous to read. These are stories from morticians and like ER nurses, all that jazz. I think we've done this before, but it's been a while. I actually picked out 2 articles because I wasn't sure if this one would be long enough, but we'll see because it also might be. So we might get 2 videos out of this. This says morticians, ER nurses, and other people who work with the dead are sharing their wildest, creepiest experiences on the job. And then it literally says it made me pee and fright a little in like quotes. These are gonna go by quick, they're kind of short. That's why I picked out 2. Sometimes when people have died and we turn them over to clean and dress them, they still have air in their lungs and will make grunting noises when moved. Scared the crap out of me the first time I experienced it. No, because I would never recover from that. That would be my first straw and last. One of the descendants, this one's insane. I read this one already. One of the descendants' grandsons faked a breakdown over the casket. While doing so, he stole all of her jewelry off of her body. Didn't take long for the family to figure it out. A large brawl broke out and the jewelry was retrieved. The creepy thing was that 2 weeks later, the grandson showed up at the morgue needing to be processed and buried. Like they fucking killed him. I'm an ER nurse. One time we had someone die and no one came to claim the body, so they went to the morgue and that was it. But their phone stayed behind in the ER by accident. Every day at 2:30 p.m. an alarm would go off. We couldn't turn the alarm off or shut the phone off without a passcode, and the battery on that thing was lasting forever. So we locked it in the bedroom, but it was still really loud. We had to listen to that dead person's alarm haunt us at the same time every day for a week. To this day, I shudder when I hear the same ringtone. It lasted a week? What phone was it? I kind of need that. My best friend growing up lived in the upstairs of his family-owned funeral home. We used to play hide and go seek in the caskets until one day one of the empty caskets wasn't empty at all because they had just gotten a delivery from a different funeral home. That would scar me for the rest of my life. I'm so sorry. My wife is a mortician. Once she was trying to break up the rigor mortis in a, I think I'm saying descendant, but that's not what the word is, decedent, in the decedent's hip by flexing the entire leg up. Her grip slipped and the leg swung down, the heel cracking her right in the face and giving her a black eye. She had to explain to people that she's not in an abusive relationship, she just got kicked in the face by a dead guy. I had a gig doing overnight transport of dead bodies for a while. Think black suit, white shirt, black tie, unmarked black van, and white gloves. Our boss wanted us to look high-end. Anyway, we needed to transport a recently deceased middle-aged woman 250 miles in the dead of night from a hospital morgue to a mortuary near her extended family. It had been a solid 2 hours of total silence when the corpse let out a low wail. It sounded like, "Buh." I just about shit myself as I swerved off the freeway and sprayed out a rooster tail of gravel and dirt. Even though intellectually I knew it was just stomach gases escaping the body, I couldn't help but be a little freaked out. Same. If someone's been down for more than a day or 2, they'll start decomposing from the inside out. If the room is quiet enough, you can hear lots of gurgling and rumbling as the gases and fluids are moving around inside. And then you move them and they groan as the residual air in their lungs is forced out past their vocal cords. Lots of that. We're getting lots of that. Number 8, back in the day, I worked for a funeral home. Oftentimes when an elderly client has pre-arrangements and they pass away, I would be dispatched to collect their earthly remains and bring them back to the funeral home to be prepped for their celebration of life / going away party. Love that. Sometimes this would be a collection directly from the morgue and sometimes it would be from the residents. More often than not, this was typically in the middle of the night. I was on call from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Well, one night I was dispatched to collect an elderly gentleman in the middle of the night. By the time I got back to the funeral home, it was around 3 a.m. Once I helped Mr. Doe get comfortable in our cooler, I was ready to leave. As I was just getting ready to set the alarm and head back home, the prep room door behind me flung open and then slammed very abruptly. This door is very big, very heavy. It takes power to open and close. Needless to say, I was early for my normal shift in the morning because, well, I didn't go to sleep. The creepiest thing about it is that just before that happened, the hair rose on the back of my neck. That man is haunted. I was gonna say possessed, but he's dead. Can you be possessed and dead? Hi, Nar. Nar still has the voice thing going on. It's still like kind of lost, but sometimes it's fine and he's acting normal, so we're just pretending like it's not happening. Number 9 is super short. Sometimes a fresh corpse will get shaky limbs. Makes it really hard to bag up in a hurry. Just like buh. Human osteologist here. I work with dry human bones, so they don't do too much. But the one time I've ever gotten the creeps was when I was handling a crania in the collection and could hear the wisdom teeth shaking around, partially formed but not quite erupted, and the mandible. Don't know what that is. Wisdom teeth form around 18 years old and erupt generally in late teens or early 20s. I, at the time, was about 20 and my wisdom teeth were just coming through. I realized these remains belonged to a girl about my age, and that's probably exactly what my skull looks like. It really humanized things for me. I think that's exactly why I wouldn't be able to do what you do. My creepiest moment was when I was in the morgue by myself at 4 in the morning. I was using the lift to put a body into a crypt. It had reached roughly eye level when the power suddenly went out. It is now pitch dark. I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. All the fans died, so all I could hear was the crinkling of body bags and disembodied voices in the distance. I couldn't make out what they were saying or where they were coming from. Power came back on a few moments later and I moved on with my night. As it turns out, the voices were just the automated "power has gone out, switching to generator power" message. Still creepy, I agree. I'm so sorry if I was there by myself at 4 a.m. and heard disembodied voices and crinkling of bags. I would run out and I wouldn't care that the power ever came back on. I'm leaving where I'm at. I'm not finishing my job. I don't give a fuck. Worked at a mortuary for a few years. We have methods to keep the jaw shut for viewing, otherwise it would gape open due to the angle of the head and neck. During a viewing, the device failed and this gentleman's mouth literally popped open. The late embalmer was not on site, so I did my best. I ushered the family out of the room and super glued his mouth shut, but he didn't have teeth, and super gluing just his lips did not work. It looked like he was trying to scream. I had to call one of the other mortuaries in town, and that embalmer used a giant needle and thread to sew his mouth shut from under his chin to his butt. I can't! No, that's so much worse. I would rather their mouth be open than it look like they're trying to scream and their mouth is sewn shut. Another short one, I helped with an autopsy where a woman wasn't found for a few weeks and her cat started chewing on her. If you ever do that, Nar. I worked at a funeral home for quite a while. When I first started, about a month in, I was working during a holiday weekend. The only people there were the transport guys and me. They came to drop off a body and left right away. I thought they were still there and needed to ask a question. I walked into the embalming area and this dude was sitting up on the gurney, looking right at me when I opened the door. It literally made me pee a little in fright. Turns out the transport guys picked up the body from an area hospital. He had passed away while in a slightly reclined position and rigor mortis had set in, so they couldn't flatten him out. Still the scariest moment in my career, even if I got a laugh out of it later. I would think it was one of them and I would probably try to talk to them. People who had been on blood thinner medication before they died can make for an odd scene. I saw a guy that died looking out of his window, so he was discovered with his head on the windowsill, and there was a thick column of jellied blood from his nose to the floor. Bit freaky. A lot freaky, I would say. 16, my grandma used to work in an ER in Puerto Rico. A guy had passed away, so the doctor asked her to prepare the body to go to the morgue. She got some sheets and started to wrap the guy up. As she crossed his legs, suddenly his penis became fully erect and was straight up. She wasn't sure what to make of it, but it forced her to have to redo the sheets, so as she uncrossed his legs, his penis went down. Then she crossed them again, and lo and behold, she tried one more time before being thoroughly freaked out and going back to the doctor. Obviously, he found this hilarious as the guy apparently had a prosthetic in his... What the hell? I'm so sorry. What the hell? A friend told me this story ages ago, and I hope I remember it well enough. When he was 18, he worked for a single plane transport contractor, and one time they had to carry a body. It wasn't autopsied or prepared for funeral yet, but that was where they were taking it. So it was wrapped and just sort of laying on the floor. Now, when you're in the air, the rise and fall of the airplane will do strange things with gravity, air pressure, and necromancy. I don't know how to say that word at all, and I'm not even gonna try again. In any case, the corpse had enough air in its lungs that the lower pressure outside the body caused the air inside to be expelled slowly and through the larynx. Larynx. I don't know how to say any of the things. I don't even know how to say what I just said. I don't even know what I just said. Meanwhile, the rise and fall of the plane caused the body to sit up and for the wrapping to fall away from the body. Sitting up caused it to expel more air from its lungs. So while flying a dead body in the plane, the crew heard a long, low moan and saw a dead body sit up in the back of the plane. The pilot panicked, left the controls, ran back and punched the corpse across the face, knocking it back down. He told me about how they figured out what happened later, but I was laughing too hard at that point to really pick up the details. I do remember that they had to explain the additional damage to the corpse when they arrived at their destination though. No, I'm so sorry. Punching a corpse in the face is insane, but also, why would I do that? There's a couple more in this. I was bringing a body to the hospital morgue and heard it groaning. It had been less than 20 minutes since the doctor had pronounced them dead. I freaked out, started unzipping the bag to make sure they weren't alive. I ripped the zipper open on the bag and it was apparent the person was dead, but the eyes were open. I wasn't ready for that at all. Ah! I got punched in the balls by a dead guy. I used to work hospital security. Part of our job was to help with the 10 to 80 assists, movement of bodies to and out of the morgue. I was on call to move one, and the body's limbs were sticking out at odd, stiff angles. I attempted to move the corpse's arms into a better spot to shimmy the bag into the body fridge. His arm stayed in place for a moment, but when I released my grip, smack! Buddy hit me right in the sack, and not smack and sack, the rhyming. And we might as well read the next one too. It's like the same thing. People who work with corpses are sharing their creepiest experiences. So we're just gonna keep going. First time I had a full autopsy to embalm, I didn't know they cut open the skull, and the back of the dude's head fell out while I was washing his hair. No, I'm so sorry, I would never recover from that. First day on the fucking job, or not first time, I don't know, I don't care. I'd be done, and I'd probably be fired. I would throw up. I once embalmed a guy with green blood. That's short, sweet, and kind of interesting. The creepiest thing I've heard from a dead body is the moaning. When you're moving or manipulating them, leftover air is in the lungs and gets pushed out and can cause them to sigh or groan. We've had so many of those. My ex-in-laws were in the death business. They told me a story once about the county attorney whose wife passed away. The family was very wealthy and she had a mouthful of gold fillings. The attorney demanded that my in-laws retrieve the gold from her mouth. This required using a dental drill to drill down her teeth and dig out the gold. My ex-father-in-law complied with the attorney's wishes, but was physically ill about having to do such a needless thing. That is horrific. I need to move on from that. I was a student at the time, not that any of these are even going to be better, but my first ever bloater was brought in, and once we popped him, his insides were outside and everywhere. Not the bloater. On my first night shift, I thought the staff was messing with me because I kept hearing what sounded like breathing. A fresh body was brought in and was releasing gas. I'd never dealt with anyone dying within the hour of being brought in, so it was scary hearing the body breathe. I work with the dead. I procure eyes and corneas for transplants. While I was working on one guy at the medical examiner's office, they brought in another guy whose cat had eaten his face clean. Just his face, nothing else. It was a sort of decaying but still somewhat normal looking dude with a bright Halloween looking skull picked clean. Ah! I'm not even kidding, nah, rumbleweems. If any of you are listening to me, you are never touching my dead body. Ever. The food's in the pantry. You can find it. My most bizarre experience was with a guy who had drowned and was dead on arrival and locked up in the cabinet. A tapping noise started coming from him. Turned out to be a crab. Have we read these before? Wait, I swear to God I read this one before. Turned out to be a crab that had made itself... Wait, I think we've read these. I'm almost positive we've read these ones before, but honestly, I don't care. I have to read this next one to you. I was an EMT who got access to a bunch of places and experiences. I was hanging out in the morgue, picking the brain of the guy on the graveyard shift. A corpse sat up in one of the gurneys mid-conversation. I went pale. The guy just looked at me and said, "They do that sometimes." I wish to not care that much. And I've probably read that before. I have a horrible memory, so I don't remember. I've probably read that before because we've definitely read some of these in this article. So I'm just gonna stop because I'm probably repeating myself. But what the hell? They do that sometimes. Okay. Well, sorry if I was repeating myself in the second article. I hadn't remembered them, so I still enjoyed it, but you guys are probably gonna be like, yeah, you already read these. So that's all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. Okay, I just restarted my camera and I noticed whenever I start filming, it's really dark. And wait, is it brightening up? I can't tell. I feel like the lighting has been kind of weird and I don't know how to fix that. Like, see, it's brighter now. I don't know how to fix that because maybe I just wait a little bit to start talking. Probably that's the solution. But like in my last video my video from last Sunday, I think, it was like super dark for a while and then like randomly got bright. I don't know. If any of you know how to fix that, let me know. But anyways, if you guys have any creepy stories that you want to share with me or the community, if any of you work in this field, I would love to hear your stories and experiences. I think this is so interesting, even though it like kind of creeps me out. It's kind of icky. But if you have any stories like that, I will have my subreddit linked down below. Surprise, surprise, I got a little bit of rambling to do in this video, so I am gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. So I'm actually filming this the same week as I filmed my videos from last week, which I never do that. I always film like the week of, but I'm filming this like a week before I'm uploading it, if that makes sense. Like I'm pre-recording kind of. I'm trying to get ahead because I just feel like that is so much smarter and I have the time. Like, why not do it? I've been feeling really good on my Adderall this week. I don't know if it was something where my body had to like adjust to it, which seems strange because it took a while, it took a couple weeks, but I do feel really good. Like I feel really motivated, I feel really productive. I've done so much this week. I got my two normal videos done and I'm doing this one. So I feel really good right now. So I'm gonna try to start pre-recording so that I don't miss as many uploads. And then I also have like trips coming up. I'm doing a million things in the next couple of months because like weddings and just vacations and blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna try to like pre-record a little bit so that I have videos even when I'm like busy, because that just makes sense. Don't know why it took me so long to think of that, but it did. It took me a really long time to be like, oh, I could just get videos done while I have time. It doesn't have to be the week of. It just doesn't have to be. Like, I'm insane. I'm also really scared. If you guys, I actually don't know if I've ever really talked about this. I am very scared of flying, like on airplanes. I don't know what it is about it. I honestly am just like scared of feeling stuck and being bored. Like, being bored is the worst thing in the world to me. And so I don't like being on flights longer than like 2 hours, because even at that, I'm like bored. And I'm going out of the country. I'll tell you guys more about it probably later. Going out of the country in a couple months. I'm gonna shit myself. I'm very nervous. The flight is long. I don't know how long yet because we haven't booked the actual flight yet. Probably like 10, 12 hours. And I think the longest portion of that is like 6, which I've done before. I've been to Hawaii, I've been to Iceland, you know, like I think I could do it, but I am really, really, really nervous. And I also don't know how to swim. And I'm going somewhere where it's kind of like people are gonna be swimming and there's gonna be like ocean activities, and the ocean also scares me. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but I feel like I'm trying to push myself past my anxieties and my fears because I want to be able to experience things in life, like traveling. And this is such a good opportunity. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm like so excited to like be there, but I'm not excited to get there, if that makes sense. I'm gonna be taking swimming lessons as an adult. I can't swim. I don't know if you didn't know that, or I don't know if you know that about me. I can't swim very well. I almost drowned when I was a child because I did not take swimming. Well, I was in swimming lessons, but I wasn't good, I guess, because I almost drowned. And I don't know, so I never finished the swimming lessons, and so I just really am not very good at it. I don't float is my issue. I understand the movements and shit. I move all my body parts, but I just slowly sink. Like, I'll be swimming and I'll just like start going under. I don't know how to stay up above water. That's the problem. So I am going to be taking swimming lessons as an adult, which is slightly embarrassing, but you know what? It's fine. Nara's moving my tripod slowly but surely and meowing his little sad meow. Are you okay? It's worse today than it was yesterday, but I feel like he has days where his meow is really quiet and hoarse, and then days where it's like completely normal. Like, that was kind of normal. I don't know, poor little Nar, but he's acting completely normal, so I don't know what to do. If I called the vet again, they'd be like, yeah, we're gonna tell you the same thing, and then it'd be $200 down the drain. So I'm like, I think I'm just gonna wait until maybe he's like, see, that was normal. But anyways, that's my little update. I don't even know what I said, honestly, but I'm gonna go because Nar won't shut the fuck up. I love you guys so much. See ya.